Okay, so welcome to the Student Intern Organizer final presentation for summer 25-26. So this was actually a really important intake for me in particular because I made a lot of poor decisions architecturally, and Chital, Cindy, Yuichi, and Clarissa were nice enough to fix up my mistakes. So let's hear about it. I'm going to hand over to Cindy. Cindy, please continue.
All right. Welcome to our presentation for the Student Organizer project for the summer 2025 to 2026 intake. First, I'd like to make an acknowledgement to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as traditional owners of the land on which we inhabit today. We pay respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Here are our members of the team, and here are the different sections we will go over in this presentation. Starting with an overview of the project. Oops. Then the tools and architecture. Oh, wait, how do I go? Oh, I need a. Sorry. Starting with an overview of the project, the tools and architecture and the problems we faced at a high level and what we improved on. Towards the end, we'll go through our previous experiences and suggestions for future implementations. Student Organizer is a web application developed to support WeHi's internship program. Each year, the program supports manages over 100 students per intake across 3 separate intakes. The application acts as a centralized platform for managing key aspects of the internship lifecycle. This includes student management, project allocation, intake details, and communication. This system provides a foundation for continuous improvement where each intern team builds on previous work, refining the database, improving workflows, and adding new features to better support the program over time. The tools and technology we use during this internship includes Python, Flask, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQLite, and GitHub. At the top level, we have the user interface. These are the web pages that the user interacts with to manage student data. It is designed to make administrative tasks more organized and efficient. Behind the interface is the backend. Using Python and Flask, the backend handles incoming requests, processes updates such as status changes or allocations, and manages the logic that connects the interface to the database. And finally, we have the database, which uses SQLite to store structured information of each student. By keeping this data structured and relational, the system can maintain consistency and support reporting, filtering, and long-term scalability. So the main problems we aim to solve first was normalizing the database, as core fields were stored as plain text, leading to inconsistent and unreliable data. This led to high redundancy and low maintainability, where repeated values were hard-coded and duplicated across records and code. And so queries and backend logic relied on string matching and were prone to errors and edge cases. Secondly, we wanted to add new UI features, such as add and edit new statuses and internal evaluation levels, as previously that could only be done directly in the database. So starting off with data normalization, before our changes, everything was stored as plain text, which caused many inconsistency at the base level of the system. This inefficiency in updating field names and unreliable filtering and reporting would only compound over time if interns were to work on the project, adding new features without normalizing the data first. So you can see in our screenshots here, they all used to be just text. And so after our updates to the system, we updated so that projects, statuses, intakes, and internal evaluations each had a unique ID, and that for the 4 fields, they are stored in the student database instead of their name, and the IDs serve as foreign keys corresponding to the newly created tables. And now names can be retrieved dynamically via this when pages are displayed. You can see our new tables that we created here. Okay.
So unlike the status intake and projects, which already had its own table to store IDs and related fields, a new table needs to be created for the pre-internship internal evaluation level to normalize the database, which we name as internal underscore eval underscore levels. This table consists of two fields, which is ID in integer, which will be the foreign key the student database will reference, and name in text. Next slide. As a result of database normalization, features that had hard-coded text values in the functions require refactoring to use the new ID fields instead. The three major issues which were identified during our testing are the drag and drop feature in the allocation page, the change project functionality, and the change status functionality.
Now I will briefly introduce the improvements made to the allocation project assignment features. The first one is allocation page drag and drop feature. Before the fix, the drag and drop assignment was not reliable. The system used hard-coded project names as text instead of stable identifiers such as project IDs. Because of this, when a student card was dragged from one project column to another, the database update sometimes failed. In some cases, the student projects even save as none, which caused incorrect assignment data. To solve this issue, we updated the logic so that the project IDs are used consistently across the front end and back end. This ensured that drag and drop actions correctly map into the intended projects and update the database reliably. Next page. Similarly, the Change Project button previously relied on hard-coded project names. This caused inconsistent behavior across pages. Even after updating the project, some pages still display outdated information. Next page. After the fix, the project dropdown now uses integer project IDs instead of text values. Both the HTML templates and backend logic were updated to align with this change. As a result, project updates are now consistent across the system, and the selected project is correctly reflected on all pages. Next page.
Moving on to the status functionality, similar to the projects, the change button, like it was initially, the status button was initially hard-coded with text as well, rather than using IDs. And this means that it was inconsistent across like pages. So if you use the status ID in one page, sometimes it doesn't save. So we essentially did the same thing. We converted it into IDs, and this was quite a tedious task as it involved like multiple files, and we had to make changes to app.py, the HTML templates such as index and edit, and they had over 100 lines fixed. Next page, please. So essentially, after changing it to the IDs, the update status consistently displays across all the pages, and yeah. So moving on, for our second part, high-level task was adding and editing the UI, adding UI for status and pre-internship internal evaluations. Before, as mentioned earlier, the new statuses and pre-intern evaluation levels were only done through SQL authorizations, and now after these changes, they have HTML templates that allow the user to add and edit pre-existing status levels through UI. So with the new status feature, as you can see, there's a new whole page, HTML page. This is based off the same structure as the project and the previous project and intern HTML pages where you could add and edit. As you can see, you can add a new status with its new name and as well as edit the status. But as of now, the status IDs are currently read only, and when you add a new status, it auto generates an extra ID. This prevents the user from deleting any statuses. Yeah.
For the pre-internship internal evaluation, the UI feature works the same, just like the status in second project, where the index page can be accessed from the header of the page and new levels can be added by the add internal level button, where the ID will be auto-incremented from the last existing ID. And the edit button, which is on the right-hand side of the existing levels, will lead to a edit page where the ID is also a read only and it's locked, which cannot be changed, while the name and or the description can be edited. Now moving on to our internship experience, I contributed in normalizing the database in regard to the pre-internship internal evaluation field, and I did refactor back-end logic and debug errors that arise from the normalization changes. I built a new feature to add and edit pre-internship internal evaluation level via UI, and I conducted user acceptance testing and regression testing alongside my team members. What I learned from the internship is how to identify clients' needs by asking the right questions. I gained hands-on experience on how an integrated system works, from database to user interface using Flask, HTML, and SQLite. I gained a better understanding to how Git works and the importance of planning in Git. And last but not least, I learned to document the technicals and improve communication skills with my supervisor and within the team.
And so I contributed to normalizing student intake using foreign keys and refactored back-end logic to rely on IDs instead of text values. And then I also helped debugging issues in front end and back end and drafting the project, the fast track report for future intern teams. What I learned was how to normalize a database through hands-on experience, how to diagnose a client's needs through asking related questions, and the importance of clear communication and documentations with the team and my supervisor, as well as confidence with working with data migrations.
So what I contributed was, aside from the status normalization, I fixed several issues and features regarding the status. I adjusted front end and back end logic to work with the new foreign keys for status as well. And my final contribution was like I made a new page that allows users for the status, the UI for the users to add status and edit IDs. What I learned from this internship was that I gained a better understanding of database migrations and its general use in apps. The most importantly, I think I learned was the collaborative skills from GitHub, especially with how to writing PRs and how to cut branches. And furthermore, with how backend typically works with front end in these high level apps, as well as the importance of documentation.
In this internship, my main contribution was improving how student and projects are managed in the system, making the data cleaner and more consistent. I fixed several issues across different features, including project changes, student filtering, and dashboard statistics. I also adjusted both front-end and back-end logic to improve system stability and make the application more user-friendly. During development, I helped resolve code conflicts and ensure that the system continued to run smoothly as new changes were introduced. From this experience, I gained a much better understanding of how a full system works, from database design to user interface behavior. I also learned how to debug problems by checking both front-end behavior and back-end logs, and realized how small details can significantly impact overall system functionality. Overall, this internship improved my problem-solving skills and gave me a more confidence working with an existing production database. Next page. What I enjoyed most about this internship was contributing to a real system that will continue to help Roland in this daily work. We really appreciate working as a part of a team and learning from each other's strengths, receiving regular feedback and guidance also help us to grow both technically and professionally. This experience gave us valuable insights into tackling complex real-world projects, which is quite different from university assignments. As a suggestion for future internship, It should be beneficial to hold final presentation on site to improve engagement and to organize more offline meetings early in the internship to help interns connect and collaborate. Next page. Looking forward, there are several possible improvements for the system. One is adding multidisciplinary team building functionality, so interns with different strengths can be grouped more effectively. Another area is improving onboarding email templates. Currently, formatting and hyperlinks may disappear when opening emails in Outlook, so this workflow could be improved. There are also UI improvements planned, such as better menu design and clear button grouping on the homepage. Additionally, future work may include improving status and pre-internship evaluation management, including a more flexible ID handling. Finally, creating larger and more realistic test datasets would be very valuable, since some updates that work with small test data did not scale well in production. Next page. Finally, I would like to thank Roland for his guidance and support throughout the internship. We would also like to acknowledge the past interns whose work and contributions helped build the foundation of this project. Thank you.
That's the end.
Thank you very much.